Okay. Let's take it back again. You get a phone call from this lady. I don't know. I want to redo it, but I was looking at it, and all of a sudden it was.
What kind of professional are you, Alan?
Apparently 20 minutes is the limit of what we can do.
Okay.
Okay? So apparently 20 minutes each draft, and that's why I'm going to keep an eye on. But again, you were. We'll back up again just to the point because I want to make sure, because it was really interesting, really fascinating about the fact that you knew that Paul McCartney was coming into town, and you had put all of the information out to all the different magazines that you'd worked with, and you mentioned some of the magazines. You go again over the magazines that you worked with that you'd sent work to?
I've been published in Circus, Cream, Hit Parader, Rolling Stone. And so I put my feelers out there to all.
What were you saying to them when you put the feelers out? Were you saying?
I'm saying that Paul McCartney is coming to New Orleans. Would you like me to cover it for you?
Right.
And I didn't hear back from anybody at first. And then finally, one day my phone rang, and it was a woman by the name of Lisa Robinson, who was a press agent in New York. She was a rock and roll press agent, and she said to me, in a very matter of fact. I don't know if you're aware of it, as if I'm not, but she said, Paul McCartney's coming to New Orleans to record now. Well, remember, Paul McCartney's here. Do you have it in your schedule to work with him? And I said, yes, I have it in my schedule to work with him. And
but then you said it was like a little bit of a pause. That you said hello.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, she asked me if I had and I just was, I was silent for a second. And I remember her saying, "Sidney, are you there?" And I said, "Yes, I am. I am here, and I definitely do have it in my schedule to work with him." And she said, "Okay, well, this is what you do. This is the manager's name. This is the hotel where they're staying. Take your portfolio. I'm sure you got the job." And I said, "What job would that be?" And she said, "Oh, his album cover, his promotional work, photos while he's in town." Well, so I'm squealing like a little girl when I hang up the phone. And I'm driving downtown to the French Quarter. They were staying at the Le Richelieu Hotel.
Sure.
And as I'm driving down the street, I'm thinking to myself, I can't cry. I can't cry this time. I was crying when I saw George Harrison on stage. Now I'm about to meet Paul McCartney. I cannot cry. Got to hold this together. So I get to the hotel, knock on the manager's door. He answers, he invites me in. He spreads my work out all over the bed. He's looking at it. He's impressed. And then he says to me, in a very dry English accent, he says, "All right, Sidney, let me ask you something here, right? When you meet Paul, you're not going to cry, are you?" And I looked at him, and I couldn't figure out if the man is psychic or if I'm wearing my feelings on my sleeve. I said, why would you say that to me?" "Well, I'll be honest with you, we just left Nashville, and in Nashville, we hired a young photographer just like yourself, and every time we saw Paul, he started to cry, and it made Paul very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
So I said, "Oh, no, I am not a drawing guy. I'm very professional. I will definitely, I won't even ask him for an autograph." And then you'll meet him tomorrow. Thank you very much. Right. So I left his room, went downstairs, walked out into the lobby, and I run smack into a drummer friend of mine by the name of Joe English, who I had known through Macon, Georgia, and the Allman Brothers connection. And I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I just got hired to play drums for the album. The drummer just quit." So you had the drummer by the name of Jeff Britton, who had just quit Wings, and they hired Joe English. So English replaced Britton.
That's funny.
In Wings. And Joe says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I think I was just hired to shoot the album cover." He says, "You want to meet him?" I said, "Yeah." So we walked through the lobby, probably a slow motion walk,
Right.
Walk out to the pool. There he is. He and Linda are sitting out there by the pool. The kids are in the pool. Every Beatle album flashed in front of my face that I ever bought, in life. And Joe says, "Hey, Paul, this is Sidney. He's going to be shooting pictures of us while we're in town." Paul looks at him. He said, "How you doing? Let's see what you go. Sit down." So here I am, sitting right next to Paul McCartney out by the pool. Linda's sitting on the other side of him. And I'm showing them pictures, and he's like, oh, look at Mick Jagger, hey, look at Stevie Wonder, and Keith Richards. And he's looking through all my photos, and it was a very surreal experience. And Linda pulls a couple of rolls of film out of her purse, and she says, these are our photos from home. We have no place to, do you have a darkroom? And I said, yeah. And she says, well, could you develop and print these pictures for
Is that the ones where you had with the clown pictures, or was that?
No,
something?
I took those myself. No, these are pictures of Paul. And, I said, sure. So I took her rolls of film home. Paul at the dining room table, Paul with the kids, Paul in the barn with the horses, Paul feeding the horses, things that I would never have had privy to.
Right.
These are photos from home.
Yeah, sort of like the ram pictures that he had where he was holding up
So I
on the farm.
run home, develop the pictures, print the pictures, so I can have as much time, FaceTime with the McCartneys as possible. I get back to the
Richelieu?
to the little Richelieu. I get in the elevator, and there's Paul right in the elevator with me. Hey Sid, how you doing? I could have died right there. I mean, I had Beatle recognize me and say hello to me by my first name.
Yeah.
So I ended up spending a few weeks with them in the studio. Mardi Gras Day, that was a big one. We spent Mardi Gras Day on the balcony of Cobb's Restaurant overlooking St. Charles Avenue. There was at one point, he and Linda were dressed up as clowns, full clown makeup. At one point, they tried to go downstairs on the street to see if they could mix with the crowd without being recognized, but
No way, huh?
no way.
Yeah.
They had to go right back inside.
Did you actually go to see Saint Studios when they were recording the album at all?
Absolutely, yeah. I have photos of them in the recording studio.
So which photos? Yeah.
So
the tragedy of the whole thing.
The tragedy, is that the McCartney experience was both the best and the worst experience of my photography career.
But not due to you, due to
Not due to me.
Yeah.
The best because I had reached a point in my photography career where I was recognized as being the #1 rock and roll photographer in New Orleans, and got the attention of the people in New York, and they got me the gig. A gig with one of my heroes. And the worst, because on the day we shot the album cover, the day we were supposed to shoot the album cover, they had rented a boat, the Voyager, a riverboat, to sail up and down the Mississippi River. They invited every musician in town, George Porter, the Meters, the Nevilles, Lee Dorsey, Ernie Cato,
Sure.
Earl King,
Right.
Professor Longhair, they're all there. I was the only photographer allowed on the boat, the only still photographer allowed on the boat. And I shot hundreds of pictures, hundreds. This is light years before digital. This was film. And every roll of film went into my camera bag. Every roll of film I shot went right into the camera bag. And at the end of the day, I took a break for a second just to observe McCartney. He was singing with the band. He had Ernie Cato up there, and they was singing, they were trading off, songs. And so I stood there, not realizing, by the way, the boat had gotten back to the dock.
Right.
I thought we were still sailing on the river because we're inside the boat, in like the ballroom area. And
you didn't have an assistant; you were shooting everything on your own.
Yeah. And I put my bag down for a second just to kind of observe and be thankful that, of all people, I got this gig. And then I went to grab my camera bag, and it was gone. Just gone. And I freaked out. I felt like somebody had kicked me in the balls. I ran outside, I ran off the boat to see if I could see anybody with my camera bag. Nothing. In short, I blew the biggest gig I could have possibly scored as a rock.
Well, when you said the camera bag, what was in the camera? All the cameras
all
and the film.
Everything I shot the whole day, plus the equipment. I don't care about the equipment. My film, that was worth a gold mine.
Yeah.
I had 3 rolls that were not in that bag. I had 2 rolls in my short pocket, and I had 1 roll in the camera that was still around my neck. And those are the only 3 rolls I have any proof that I was even there that day.
Yeah.
But I had an article in the newspaper talking about the lost film and begging for the film back. But
Did you ever find out through the grapevine or anybody
Yeah,
ever
of
tell
course
you?
not. Of course not. No, I have my suspicions. It might have been the caterers, possibly, or a work crew. But I can't imagine any of the invited
Well,
guests.
I can tell you there were some musicians who
Right.
you might not
But
suspect,
at the
but
same
might
time,
have.
I've never seen those photos anywhere.
I don't think they went for the photos, Sidney. I
No,
think
they
they went
didn't.
for
They
the
didn't. They went for the
the
equipment.
photos
All
went
the
out.
equipment,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, they went with
Yeah,
the
they should have
equipment.
been film away. I'm sure.
I mean, because I would have thought that you would have gone to maybe one of the hot shops or something
Even
like that.
so, maybe I would have found the equipment, but
Yeah.
not the film.
Yeah, but you might have found the perpetrators and then been able to
Possibly,
backtrack.
but how many pawn stores are there in New Orleans?
Oh, there's a lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot. But by the same token, if you don't look, you never find. And unfortunately, it's one of those things I would have probably, if it happened to me, probably done it a little different than you. I mean, you had to feel terrible. I mean, you're.
I was devastated.
Now, when you lose the equipment and you lose the film, and who did you call to tell them, I don't have your
I talked to the manager. I had to explain to him.
Did he say at that point so long or?
Pretty much.
Yeah, he said.
Pretty much. They weren't in town for much more than a couple more days, and then they left to go to Los Angeles, where they ended up shooting the album cover, and had a big record release party in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So yeah, I blew it, and I ended up quitting photography about a year later. I mean, I just could not get past that episode.
Yeah. Well, by the same token, you have photos that have been published.
Sure.
I mean, you do have photos that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Absolutely, but still, for me, I blew the biggest gig. That's for me.
Yeah.
And I could not forgive myself.
Well.
And I ended up.
You can't kick yourself. The reason you're kicking yourself is because you're a big fan, and you allowed yourself a moment to, have some adoration for your heroes, and somebody took advantage of that. It's unfortunate, but the world is not a safe and happy place all the time. So,
are you 20 minutes in yet?
Not yet. We're actually up to about 12. So let me contend with what was going on now in your career and your life. I mean, you're now 75. It's now 76 or so. I'm thinking somewhere around this time you started to date seriously. Is that?
To date?
Yeah. Were you dating at that time pretty seriously?
Yeah, my girlfriend.
Yeah. I mean, when did you actually meet your first wife, Delaware?
I met her in 75.
Okay. So it's around the same time.
I met her just before my birthday, after McCartney, but just before my birthday in 75. And then we got together, but then she left to go to study art in Mexico, down in Mexico, and I went about my business. I think I went to Hawaii in the summer of 75. I gave up the opportunity to travel and tour with Aerosmith in 1975 because I had planned this trip to Hawaii just for fun.
Yeah, but you don't know. You might have been with Steve Tyler and having too much of a good time too.
Could have been.
So what exactly? Where in Hawaii did you go? Did you go to the small Oahu, or did you go to the Big Island, or Hawaii, or just everywhere?
All over. This is really before Hawaii was as commercialized as it is today.
Yeah.
You could really still find pristine, deserted beaches.
Well, were you snorkeling? Were you swimming? Were you
snorkeling and swimming and meeting girls?
Yeah.
And just running around.
Right.
Hitchhiking. Met some friends and.
Taking any pictures at all? No.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And what kind of equipment were you using at that point that had been taken?
I remember having a Super 8 movie camera that I was running around Hawaii with.
Really?
Yeah,
well, what happened to those?
They're somewhere in the catacombs of my attic.
Uh-huh. I mean, those might be of some value, for historical purposes. Maybe not. But you never know what you shoot.
No.
Yeah. So were you starting to get a little bit more into the film rather than just photography?
Oh, you mean like videos? No.
Because videos were starting to come out around then, but they were very, very. You had Vidicon tubes. They were very heavy, not very portable.
Beta and VHS. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know which one to get, Beta or VHS. So I ended up getting Beta at first, and that ended up
Yeah, it wasn't very, VHS tended to become the industry leader, but Beta was actually Apple's
Right.
incursion, I think, into the video world. And they called it Beta because it came out after VHS.
Right.
And they thought it was a step up. But,
Right.
the problem is they did not have the PR to be able to market it correctly.
Right.